Welcome to Rays of Hope, where inspiration meets possibilities. Healing and transformation, embracing ego dissolution. Have you ever wondered what it would be like to stop that constant chatter in your head? Many of us are burdened by an overactive ego that drives our fears and insecurities. But what if dissolving this ego could actually lead to profound healing and transformation? By exploring ego dissolution, you're stepping into a powerful process that modern psychology and spirituality both recognize as key to personal growth. In today's fast-paced world, we often find ourselves disconnected from our true selves. Ego dissolution offers a path back, a way to strip away the layers of false identity and get to the core of who we really are. Imagine the freedom and peace that come with shedding these mental barriers. Not only can this practice help you heal past traumas, but it can also unlock new levels of self-awareness and inner peace. Let's dive into how these practices can transform your life in ways you might never have thought possible. Understanding ego and its role. Understanding the ego is crucial to grasping how ego dissolution can lead to profound healing and transformation. The ego plays a significant role in shaping our identities and guiding our actions, but it also has its pitfalls. Let's break down what ego means and its importance from different perspectives. Definition of ego. From a psychological standpoint, the ego is part of the mind that mediates between our basic impulses, the id, our moral conscience, the superego, and reality. It helps us navigate our needs and desires while considering social norms and consequences. On the other hand, spiritual teachings often view the ego as the sense of self that creates a barrier between us and a higher state of consciousness. In this sense, the ego is what keeps us tied to material desires and personal achievements, separating us from our true selves and interconnectedness with others. Functions of the ego. The ego serves several essential functions, making it a critical part of our mental framework. Identity formation. The ego helps us develop a sense of self. It tells us who we are based on our experiences, beliefs, and values. Survival mechanism. It plays a key role in our survival by responding to threats and challenges. It helps us avoid danger and seek out opportunities that ensure our well-being. Decision-making. The ego helps us make decisions by weighing the pros and cons of different actions. It helps us navigate through life by considering our goals, values, and the potential outcomes of our choices. Negative aspects of ego. While the ego is essential, it can also lead to negative behaviors and mental health issues if left unchecked. Self-centeredness. An overly dominant ego can make us self-centered, leading to arrogance and an inflated sense of self-importance. This can strain relationships and create social isolation. Fear and anxiety. The ego often fuels our fears and insecurities. It makes us worry about failure, rejection, and judgment from others, which can lead to anxiety and stress. Conflict and competition. A strong ego promotes competition rather than cooperation. It makes us view others as rivals, leading to constant conflict and a lack of harmony in our interactions. Mental health issues. Problems like depression, anxiety, and narcissism can stem from an unchecked ego. When the ego is overly focused on maintaining a specific image or meeting certain standards, it can result in severe emotional distress. By understanding the role of the ego in our lives, we can start to see why ego dissolution might be necessary for true healing and transformation. This practice can help us shed the negative aspects of the ego, allowing us to reconnect with our authentic selves and find inner peace. Concept of ego dissolution. Ego dissolution is a powerful process that can lead to incredible healing and transformation. By understanding what ego dissolution means and how it works, we can see why it's gaining attention in both psychological and spiritual circles. What is ego dissolution? Ego dissolution refers to the temporary loss of one's separate sense of self. It means breaking down the boundaries that keep us feeling separate from the world around us. Unlike ego death, which can feel more permanent and complete, ego dissolution is often reversible and happens in short bursts. So, what's the difference between ego dissolution and ego death? Ego death is more about a complete, often irreversible breakdown of the ego. It's like erasing your sense of identity entirely. Ego dissolution, on the other hand, is more like pressing the pause button. It allows you to experience a moment without the typical chatter and judgments of the ego. Think of it as getting a peek behind the curtain of your own mind. Mechanisms of ego dissolution. Multiple psychological and neurological factors contribute to ego dissolution. They involve changes in how our brains process information and how our minds perceive reality. Here's a closer look. Neurological mechanisms. Default mode network, DMN. Scientists have found that the DMN is linked to our sense of self. When the DMN is active, we think about ourselves, our past, and our future. Ego dissolution often coincides with a quieting down of the DMN. This allows other parts of the brain to work together more freely. Neurotransmitters. Certain brain chemicals, like serotonin, play a role in ego dissolution. Psychedelics, which are known to induce ego dissolution, often increase serotonin levels in the brain. This leads to a more interconnected and less self-focused experience. Psychological mechanisms. Mindfulness and meditation. Practices like mindfulness and meditation can also lead to ego dissolution. By focusing on the present moment and letting go of judgments, you can experience a state where the ego is less dominant. Flow states. Ever felt lost in an activity, so much so that you lose track of time and self-conscious thoughts? That's a flow state. Athletes, artists, and anyone deeply engaged in a task can achieve this state, leading to a temporary dissolution of the ego. Understanding these mechanisms helps us see why ego dissolution isn't just a mystical concept but a scientifically supported one. By quieting the ego, we open ourselves up to new experiences and deeper forms of healing. Methods to achieve ego dissolution. Achieving ego dissolution can be a life-changing experience, offering deep healing and transformation. Different methods can help you reach this state. Let's explore some of these practices and how they work. Meditation and mindfulness. Meditation and mindfulness are powerful tools that can facilitate ego dissolution. These practices help calm the mind and bring awareness to the present moment, reducing the grip of the ego. Mindfulness. Practicing mindfulness means paying attention to your thoughts, feelings, and surroundings without judgment. It's about being fully present. When you're mindful, you observe your ego but don't get caught up in its stories. Types of meditation. Different forms of meditation, such as breath-focused meditation and loving-kindness meditation, can assist in ego dissolution. By concentrating on your breath or cultivating feelings of compassion, you shift focus away from the ego. Consistency matters. Regular practice is key. Over time, meditation can create lasting changes in your brain, quieting the ego and fostering a sense of interconnectedness with the world. Psychedelic experiences. Psychedelics like psilocybin and LSD have long been known for their ability to induce ego dissolution. When used responsibly, these substances can open the door to profound insights and personal growth. Mechanism of action. Psychedelics affect the brain's serotonin receptors, particularly in the default mode network, DMN. This area of the brain is linked to the ego and self-referential thinking. By quieting the DMN, psychedelics can temporarily dissolve the ego, allowing for new perspectives. Set and setting. The environment and mindset in which you take psychedelics significantly impact the experience. A safe, comfortable setting and a positive, open mindset can enhance the likelihood of ego dissolution. Therapeutic use. In controlled, therapeutic settings, psychedelics are showing promise for treating conditions like depression and PTSD. These settings provide guidance and support, making the experience safer and more beneficial. Thank you for joining us on this uplifting journey with Rays of Hope. Please comment, like, share, and subscribe to stay tuned for more videos that spark hope and empowerment.